Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you have not subscribed to my channel, you need to go ahead and subscribe. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you all 5 tips for the perfect eyebrows. So if you are wanting to know those tips, stay tuned. Tip number 1 is to study your eyebrow shape. Since eyebrows are the first thing people see, it's important to make sure they frame your face well. I have a natural arch in my brow, so I make sure to keep that shape of my brow. It's not the best idea to be changing eyebrow shapes at my age. You can also use the 3-point eyebrow map to ensure your eyebrows are meeting at the correct points. The eyebrow map just makes sure that your eyebrows are indeed shaped well and they frame your face well. Tip number 2 is to regularly trim your eyebrows, and I'm just going to share with you how I trim and shape my eyebrows using a spoolie brush, eyebrow scissors, tweezers, and last but not least, eyebrow razor. So it's been a couple of weeks since I trimmed my eyebrows, so they don't really need to be trimmed, but I'm still going to show you the steps that I take. So I brush my eyebrows upward, of course, to show any type of unruly hairs inside of the eyebrows. And then after I brush all of my eyebrows upwards, then I take my eyebrow scissors and then I just cut whatever hairs I see sticking up at the top. There's not a lot of hairs right now because, like I said, I just trimmed my eyebrows, and then I brush them back into place. And now I'm going to take the eyebrow razor and I'm going to shape up the top of my brows, getting any type of unwanted hair that might be growing at the top of my eyebrow that is not in with my eyebrow shape. And this is the time that I kind of shape my eyebrow, making sure that I keep that arch in place. Definitely don't want to mess that up. I go very slowly because I definitely don't want to cut my eyebrows off. So I do that step very slowly and very meticulously so that I don't shave my eyebrows off. And now the last thing that I do is I take a pair of tweezers and I pluck underneath my eyebrows, and I'm able to see, since I regularly trim my eyebrows, what hairs I need to take away. There are some times that I want to have a deeper arch, so I do pluck a little bit more. I try to not pluck so much on the tips of my eyebrows because my tips are already sparse, so I kind of try to leave those alone, but I do clean them up a little bit. Even though I've been plucking my eyebrows for a long time, they still hurt and I just go through the pain. I'm used to it now, so it doesn't really bother me, but it's still a little painful. So I end up kind of holding my skin a little taut, and that does kind of alleviate the pain a little bit, and it makes me see exactly what hairs that I need to get rid of. Tip number 3 is knowing the products that you can use to fill in your brows. You have the eyebrow pencils, which are great for defining your brows, giving you that natural looking brow. You have eyebrow powders that you can use to fill in those sparse areas. You can also place on top of that eyebrow pencil if you've used it to keep that color in place. You have the eyebrow pomade if you want a bold and darker look, and it's best to use eyebrow pomades on their own. And you also have an eyebrow marker, which gives you a very hair-like effect on your eyebrows. It's very good at defining and filling your brows with ease. After choosing the right product to fill your brow, it's now time for tip number 4 of the perfect way to fill in your brow. So I'm using an eyebrow pencil to fill in my brow, and I'm starting from the tip first because that is where I want it to be the darkest, and then I'm going to then go ahead and start on my inner brow. I'm going to work my way in and I'm going to connect those points, and I'm making sure that I'm not very heavy-handed in the inner brow because I don't want that part to be too dark. So I'm doing it very slowly, and I'm also not going to be very heavy-handed. Now I'm just feathering in this color onto my eyebrows because I want it to look as natural as possible, and I'm just giving my eyebrow a shape in my inner brow because my inner brow is a little sparse in that area, so I have to definitely fill that in and kind of create the inner brow a little bit because there's not a lot of hairs there. And now that it's filled, I'm going to go in with my spoolie brush and I'm just going to gently brush my eyebrows. I want to make sure to take away any harsh lines. And it's okay at this point if the eyebrow pencil is kind of not as dark as before, because I am going to go over this eyebrow pencil with a powder later. So it's okay for it to not be as dark as it was when I first applied it. So I'm just rubbing all that in, really getting that color in, and then I'm going to go behind it with a powder to really fill in those sparse areas and really get that color onto my eyebrows and really fill that eyebrow in to make it look as natural as I can make it. After filling in my brows using the eyebrow pencil, I'm going to take this L'Oreal brow powder and I'm going to place that on top of my eyebrows, and that's going to keep that color from the eyebrow pencil in place. It's also going to fill in any sparse areas that are still visible. I find that when I don't do that, my eyebrows don't come out as clean and as natural looking as I want them to be. So I do make sure that I add this step. Make sure that whatever products that you're using that works on your eyebrows, that you just continue to use those products. It does take time to find what works for you, but once you find out what works for you, I would just kind of keep that same kind of technique. Definitely don't want to be going technique to technique where you're not perfecting the eyebrow technique or perfecting how you want your eyebrows to look. And then, of course, after I have used the eyebrow powder, I'm going to go back with my spoolie. And this time, I'm not going to brush as harsh as I did when I did the eyebrow pencil, because I do want to keep this color in place. So I'm just brushing enough to keep the hair in place. And this is how they both look once I have added the powder on top of the eyebrow pencil. And you always have that good eyebrow, and that's my left eyebrow. It always comes out looking right. The right one, most of the time, it's a hit or miss. Tip number 5 is to add a brow gel and a concealer. The brow gel footage was very blurry, so I was not able to show the brow gel, but I do add a brow gel to my brow to keep it all in place. And now with the concealer, make sure that you use a concealer that is 2 shades lighter than your skin tone. I am using the L'Oreal concealer, and I'm adding the concealer using an angled brush to the top and bottom of my eyebrows. Now, to be honest, I usually skip this step. I only usually add concealer to my eyebrows when I'm trying to be extra and when I have a little bit more time. But if I'm running late for work, or if I don't have a lot of time in the morning to do this step, I usually skip the step. But I'm just showing this step so that you can see how the eyebrow looks when you add concealer. So now I'm just taking the angled brush and I'm blending all of that in, making sure to get as close to the eyebrow as I can. Concealer has a variety of purposes. You can hide any type of hairs that are growing in. You can create an arch with the concealer. So the concealer is able to do quite a bit for your eyebrow. This is what the eyebrow looks like with concealer, and this is what the eyebrow looks like without concealer. The one with concealer looks cleaner, it looks crispier, and of course the one without concealer on it to me just looks a little bit more natural looking. So this is the final look of the brows. I still did not put any concealer on that right brow, so it's still without concealer. So these are the tips for you to get the perfect eyebrows. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.